Hello, everybody. It is Jackie from Pocket of Preschool, and I am so excited you guys are here tonight. So tonight we are going to talk today, I guess depending on when you're watching, we are going to talk all about fun, easy activities easy butcher paper activities you can do for back to school, like that first month and a half, probably even 2 months. And these activities are all going to be they're not really like theme related. I have a couple that I'll show you that you can kind of do with a theme, that like back to school, like all about me-ish themes. But a lot of these butcher paper activities we are going to do that are super simple, right? Because they're getting to know the classroom, they're getting to know you and then their friends. So they're getting to know you and their friends and their routines and just all the things, right? So there's so many things in your classrooms and they're so excited to use all of them. So these butcher paper activities are also going to be a really fun way for them to start using all of the things that you have on your shelf. So that way they can start to learn and play with them and explore them. So when it comes time for small group, they have already played with them. So that way they can focus a little bit more on you and your instructions, because it won't be the first time they've played with something. So again, a lot of this I literally just grabbed off of the shelf. I'm not teaching this year, but I literally grabbed a lot of it just off the shelf in my classroom, because you want to use things that first month, especially, that are on your shelf. So, before I forget, all the links that are at the top for all of the things, or wherever the links are. There is a link to the butcher paper activity guide. So this is a giant guide that has like butcher paper activities for like all of the different like learning strands. So this one's like letters, and then there's some math. There's a whole bunch in there, and it's by skill. So if you want more butcher paper activities, grab this. So let's go ahead and get started. So one thing that we do a lot, right, are all of those pre-writing skills. So I literally, on this giant piece of butcher paper, I just drew a whole bunch of different types of lines. And I drew some simple shapes. So, I forgot to tell you, what are butcher paper activities? If you're watching me for the first time, I'm sure you're wondering. Butcher paper activities are giant activities on giant paper that you can either do at the table, at the floor, and you can do them during morning, like arrival. You can do them during like morning table time, or kind of like a warm-up instead of like doing a worksheet right when they come in, or table work. They basically are learning and moving and talking to each other and interacting and watching each other and observing each other and talking about whatever they're doing or whatever they want to share with their friend. And it's just a really fun way to get them up and moving. You can do them at the table or on the floor. So, forgot to tell you that part. Okay, so this one again just has a whole bunch of different types of lines. So we got zigzags and squiggles and simple shapes like circles. So there's a couple of different ways you can do this. So you can put this out, and you can just put out whatever manipulative that you're using a lot. I know a lot of us use mini erasers. This is a bucket I have of just like random mini erasers. So they can literally just take, like you would just put this out, or probably a couple small buckets. I try and put manipulatives in the corners, and they can make it match. They can make it not match. And basically they're just gonna use their little fingers to pick up all the little things, which again is great for building those fine motor muscles. And they're just gonna trace the shapes. And again, use whatever manipulative that you guys are going to use a lot for small groups. So if you use mini erasers a lot, put out mini erasers. Maybe you don't want to use mini erasers. Maybe you want to use, hold on, let me reach. Maybe you want to put out pom-poms, because maybe you use pom-poms a lot. And maybe you want them to match the colors, or maybe they're not going to match the colors. You or the students pick how you want to do it. So you can use pom-poms if you use pom-poms a lot. Again, anything that's little, and they pick it up and they put it on. They're using all of those all their little hand, finger, and wrist muscles, making those fine motor muscles ready to write. Another thing I love are these bingo chips. Oh, and if you're wondering, these are just little like cups from the Dollar Tree. They can also use these little bingo chips to trace the line, because when they're ready to clean up, look, they just use a magnet wand and they clean it up. So they can trace the lines with the manipulatives. Now, if you want to do it a second day, put out crayons, and I just like to put out a crayon that matches kind of the colors. So I would put out like pink and purple. And all they're gonna do then is they're gonna come and they're gonna trace. Because when they trace with the crayon, you can still see the marker really bright. And then a whole bunch of students can trace and it's totally fine. So they're gonna be tracing with the crayons. So you can use manipulatives or you can trace with crayons. Totally up to you. Or you can make this once and then you'll have it in your closet and you can kind of keep it and pull it out for different things and use it all throughout the year with different manipulatives. This one, I know a lot of us do All About Me and we talk about birthdays. So it's a giant cake. So this one you can also tape to the wall if you have room in your classroom. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna put out this dice. Now, it's a foam dice that had numbers on it. I just used some stickers that I had. I don't need like labels. And I drew different types of lines on each side. And again, I think there's a dot. So they roll the dice and they have bumps. So then they can either use crayons or markers. You decide. I like to use markers, especially at the beginning of the year, because if they don't have a lot of fine motor strength, they can still see the line. So they can make all the decorations on the cake. And then they just roll it again. Oh, I got bumps again. So this one's squiggles or snake. And then they make, that marker is almost all gone. Okay, so again, super, super simple, but it's also really great to see what types of lines they can write, which ones they can't. Also, since it's like a DIY dice and you can make it the types of lines you think they can make. Like this one, I probably wouldn't put it out for my pre-K or my 3-year-olds at the beginning of the year because that one's a tricky line to make. So I'd probably stick to like zigzags and bumps and snakes and just straight lines. That one I would probably cover and put some, or what, yeah, the loops. That would probably cover that one and put something else on that one. And again, it's just using a dice I already had in the classroom. As you can tell, because the stickers come off a little bit. It's fine. So, now if you don't want to do a cake, if you're reading Pete the Cat, you can make a giant shirt. You can make pants. Whatever book you're reading, look and see what object is in it that has like designs on it and draw that, and then they can put the lines on whatever object it is related to the book you're reading. So we have that one. So now we did types of lines. So now, letters. So as you can see behind me, that was one I did with my preschool class. I actually have a video of them doing it. I did that one on the floor. You can also, again, do it on the table. But if you're introducing all of those different materials, where did I put them? And you're introducing how to use dot markers. Let's say you used them yesterday and then today you want to use them again. Put these out. You don't have to put a ton. Just put out the ones that you want, a couple of them. And then they can practice taking the lid off and dotting, putting the lid back on, and then getting another one. Again, we're just practicing and learning how to use all of our school tools, right? So put out dot markers if you want. Now, you don't have to use dot markers, but it does make a really pretty bulletin board. You can use just it's called India ink. I have all of this in my storefront, my Amazon storefront, which is linked. So if you want to grab that, or you can just use a black marker to write all the letters. And then look how pretty that looks as a bulletin board. Like you could literally do this for a table time activity and hang it outside your room and your bulletin board is done and it looks beautiful. And it's a talking point for the kiddos with their families or whatever grown-up brings them to school. And it's gorgeous and big and beautiful. So, but let's say you don't want to use dot markers. Let's say you want to practice using another manipulative in your classroom. Again, they can make it with pom-poms. I'm doing it really fast, but you could put out pom-poms. You could put out the magnet chips. You could put out mini erasers. Maybe they like rocks. So you can put out a whole bunch of little pebbles. Maybe you use gems a lot. Put those out. Whatever manipulative you use, put that out and they can just trace the letter with that manipulative. Or maybe you've already started a theme. So whatever themed manipulative you have, you can put that out too. Now you can also trace it too with other different art materials you have. Like maybe you have, like I have these tissue squares in my art cabinet. I like hand cut these, like, cause I buy like a thing of it from the dollar store and I just cut it up. It's not fancy. That's why none of them are even. So they can practice using a glue stick, and they can glue tissue paper squares on. Again, whatever school tools you're using, have them practice that on these butcher paper activities. And again, they're super, super basic. They're all those basic skills. But now they're doing it in the morning, and it gets them, it's like a kind of like way to give them a soft start, easy peasy. And you can also, if you don't do any like art or dots and stick it to it or have them trace, you can also reuse these all year long. So this one, you can see I just drew a whole bunch of shapes on it with markers, and they're all different colors. So you can do a couple things with this. So I know a lot of us have shape buttons, and those are what we use for our manipulative. So they can just match the shape to, here it is down there. They can just match the shape. Again, super, super simple. And it's also a really great way to assess who can match, who isn't, who's just putting them on there like loving life, because it will happen. Or which students are struggling, which students are having an easy time. But again, if they are struggling, they can, maybe some kiddos are matching the colors, and that's okay. But yeah, so just put out your shape buttons, draw the shapes. I do have a heart in my shape button, so that's not on here. So I would have to go, oh, that one's not on here. Oh, pick another one and keep going. So shape buttons are great. If you have a different shape manipulative, you can use that. If you have those foam shapes, they can glue them on, and you can do that. Again, use what you already have in your classroom. You don't always have to go out and buy the new thing. If you have shape buttons, use shape buttons. If you have a different shape manipulative, use that. If you have paper shapes, use that. Or foam shapes, use that. There's some shapes. Sorting. So I just drew a whole bunch of squares on this one, and they're all different colors. So I have like pink, green, blue, purple, black, yellow, orange, and red. So this one's super, super open-ended, right? So you can put out really anything for this one, right? You could put out cubes if your cubes match. You can put out mini erasers if those match. You can put out mini erasers, shape buttons. Like you could put out a couple different manipulatives, but that does make cleanup harder, which I wouldn't probably suggest during back to school. So I would stick to one, that one's blue. One manipulative to sort. Now, these color sorting bins are a great way to grab whatever counter you have. So in my math center, I have this very, very random jar of counters. Like I have a bird, there's a bug, a plane, a monkey, there's a horse. So you can see these are from a whole bunch of different counter sets. And a lot of times if I find random ones in my classroom, they get thrown in here. But students love these because they're just all random. They're all different colors, but they don't fit one theme. So these are what stay out in my math center all year. I mean, like if we're doing transportation, I'll put transportation ones out too. But these stay out all year because they will sort and play with these a lot more since they're all different. But these are great to put out. Or again, maybe you're using people counters, so put these out. Maybe you have transportation counters out, so put those out and then make your sorting board to match. But they can sort all of the different animals by, you can't see it, but there's green over here. There we go. But they can just sort all the animals, and it's also gonna get students talking. And I know this board looks really small because I'm big, right? But our little learners are little, right? So it's hard for them to reach all the way across to put something on the other side. So they may have to ask their friend, oh, can you put this on there for me? Or at the beginning of the year, so they may not be talking a lot to each other yet, so they may point or motion to their friend, which is still a form of communication. Or they may not, because they may not know all their friends' names yet. But also as they reach and stretch to put this one all the way over here, they're using their core and they're using their upper arms and shoulders. And they have to have a strong core to have strong shoulders, and they have to have strong shoulders and they have to have all their big muscles strong in order to have strong little muscles. So as they're reaching and stretching all the way across to sort, they're making their big muscles strong so we can make our little muscles strong. And again, use whatever counter you have. Maybe you just read Pete the Cat. I have Pete the Cat on the brain today, apparently. You can put out buttons. They don't have to be shaped buttons, and just sort the buttons. You can also put out crayons, and they can just sort the crayons. Oh, let me find one that's right here. They can just sort the crayons on here, right? You can use, again, use whatever school tools you have. Maybe you want to put out the markers and they're just going to sort all of the things that they draw with in the art center. So you don't have to use counters. You can use whatever tool that they need to kind of practice and get used to, or they need some more, oh my gosh, some more practice with. So I forgot to tell you on this giant one, where I was telling you could build with letters. So we're gonna rewind back to the letter butcher board activity. I forgot you can also match the letters. See, I have these out and I just forgot to remind myself to put it out. So look, I have these labels I have in my TBT store and my pop store. So you can grab them. But I literally, whatever letter manipulative you have on your shelf that they are using a lot, grab those, put those out. Maybe you have letter beads. Again, I just grab them off the shelf. Obviously, you're gonna put these in like the corners, but I'm just putting them right here so you can see. But they're literally just going to so they're just like matching the letters. So there's, of course, the letters on top. I don't have in my stack. You have M, so they can just match the letters. Maybe you have magnet letters. So take the magnet letters instead of putting the beads out. And you can put the magnet letters out, and then they can sort the magnet letters by just match them up. So again, we're getting them used to we're getting used to all of our different manipulatives we have in our classroom. And then also, I forgot to tell you, during cleanup, so everybody's got everything back in the jars and they're cleaned up, and you can say, oh my gosh, so these go somewhere. See the labels on them. See, these go somewhere in our classroom, but I forgot, where do these go? What center do these magnet letters and letter beads go in? And you go, oh my gosh, because they want to tell you where they go. So they'll be like, oh my gosh, that goes in the library shelf, like, or in the library center right by blah, blah, blah. And they'll tell you where it goes. And you can say, oh my gosh, everybody, let's go walk over there together and put it away. So you can take this and like literally all 18 or 10, however many kiddos you have, walk over there and they can put it on the shelf with you. Because when students go to centers, you know how in my classroom, they got to pick what center they go to. And at the beginning of the year, it's tricky, or that first month or so, after you introduce centers and they're picking what center they want to go to, they, in order to pick the center, they kind of have to know what materials are in there, right? Because if they go over to the library center and they say, I want to go to library today, and they go over there and they're looking for something and they're like, oh, what I wanted to play with isn't over here. And then they go back and then they have to switch centers, right? Because maybe what they wanted to play with was, I don't know, something that's like in the Discovery Center. So using the materials and then having them help you put them back on the shelf, even if you have 18 kids, it's okay. Have 18 kids walk over there because you're probably walking to transition to the next activity anyways. Walk and have them put this on the shelf for you, and you can point out, oh my gosh, this is the library center. And then you can do like, everybody say it, library, library. And then you can say, everybody clap it, library. Okay, everybody whisper it, library. Okay, so the magnet letters go in the library center. Thank you so much for helping me remember where all of our school stuff goes in our classroom. And again, it's just helping them remember what goes where in your classroom. And all these labels, put one on the shelf and one on the bin. So that way they know where everything goes. So, I totally forgot to tell you about this. So, that is another fun one to do. Now, You can also do themed ones. So like if you have your people counters out, make a counter for that. So if you're using, maybe you have the transportation counters out, because a lot of kids love the transportation counters. Just put out little like garages, or you can even do colored squares to match the theme of the counter, or like a road. But like with these people counters, you can put them in a little people house, and they can stand them up, and they can put them in the people house. Oh, there's little pets in here too. These are some of my favorite counters. I love using these for like community helper themes, for back to school, because they're like families or a family theme. They're great. So make a little color sorting based on the counter you have out in your classroom. And again, when it's time to clean up, say, oh my gosh, where did these go in our classroom? And you say, oh my gosh, they go in the Discovery Center. Let's walk over there and help me put them away. So, and if any of these butcher paper activities, if they go really, really well, take this and you can put it on the table of that center, or you can also, if it's, because this is like that really like flimsy paper, like tape it to a piece of like, you know that really like that thicker foam board at the Dollar Tree? Take this and stick that to the foam paper, and then now you have kind of like a game mat, and you can like stick it in between a shelf and the wall, and they can. Another idea for counting, and this one's using your school tools, it's putting 10 crayons in each box, and you end up with 100 crayons. Now, if you have 3-year-olds or 4-year-olds or 5-year-olds who do not have correspondence, one-to-one correspondence up to 10, that's okay. Don't put numbers on these. If you have kindergarten and you know most of your kiddos have one-to-one correspondence up to 10, go ahead and put 10 on them, because at the end you have 10 boxes of crayons with 10 each, so you have 100 crayons. But let's say you don't have, like you have 3-year-olds or you're teaching preschool or pre-K or even maybe kinder. Maybe all your kids don't have one-to-one correspondence to 10 yet, and that's okay. So don't put this 10 on there, and don't write 100 crayons on there. So all they're gonna do is you're gonna put out all your tubs of crayons, and I know you guys have tubs of crayons, or you can even put out markers too. If you've got like a big bucket of markers. Where's my dice? Here it is. So what you can do is they can roll the dice. 1, 2, 3, and then get 3 crayons out. 1, 2, 3, and then they can put 3 in a box, and they're just filling up the box. Now, if you want to do it where they're counting out 10, have them count out 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So they'll count out 10, and they'll put 10 in each box, and then they'll have 100 crayons. Or don't put the 10 on there, and just put out some dice, and they roll the crayon. They roll the dice and put that many in the box. Now, if you know your students don't have one-to-one correspondence to 6, that's okay. You can totally make your own dice. I have these wooden dice in my classroom. I've made them like my first couple years of teaching, and it's just a wooden cube, and I have 1, 2, 3, and then the other side has 1, 2, 3. It just goes up to 3. So you can have both dice out. So if you have 3-year-olds, you can just put out the dice that go to 3, or you can put out both. And it's okay, because you know what kids are gonna do? They're gonna go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And they're just gonna kind of mock count is what I call it, right? If you're not there to give them one-on-one support, and that's okay. If you come over, you can say, oh, I want you to use this dice. And if not, you know what? They're just practicing counting. Even though they don't have one-to-one correspondence yet, they're still practicing, right? And that's practicing, giving them exposure to counting, and eventually they will get that one-to-one correspondence. So many different things you could do with that. So many different ways to play this. Or, I just thought about this, you can make each crayon box a different color, and then they can sort the crayons by color. You could also do that too. And then you could also have them roll a color dice, and they can roll the color dice and trip it in that color crayon box if you want to make it simpler and not have the counter. And just have them sorting by color. All right, so this one, let me see, let me move some stuff over. Hold on. All right, so this one it's a giant cupcake. Well, that's what it's supposed to be. Don't I am not the best artist, but the kids won't care that I can't draw. So what this is, it's a giant cupcake. And do you know what we're gonna do? We are going to, I'm looking for my dot markers. Okay, so we are going to practice counting. Now, you can do this a couple different ways. You can have them use a color dice, and you can just have all the dot markers open, right? We're just gonna pretend like all of these, because I have purple and red. So what they would do is they would roll the dice, the color dice, red, and they would do one red. I haven't used these since last school year. Red. And then they roll the dice again. Green. Of course, the one that's not open. And then they would dot green. Okay, green. And then they would roll the color dice. And again, if you don't have color dice, take a wooden cube and color each side a color, or you can put stickers on it too. Now, if you don't want to use color dice and you want them to count, you can use the 1, 2, 3 dice that you have. 2, and they can just do 1, 2. And then they roll it again. Now, there's going to be many kids playing this. So maybe there's 4 kids doing this and they're all dotting. You can also use the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 dice. It's up to you. Or you can have all 3 out and they can kind of pick what dice they use. Because also once they learn which dice is at their level, they'll naturally gravitate to that dice. I usually make my 1, 2, 3 dice the wooden cubes just because it's different than the colored one, so they can kind of easily differentiate. Say, oh, I like the wooden cube. I usually use the wooden cube when I'm in small group with Miss Jackie, and they'll just naturally kind of pick the one that's at their level. Hold on. 1, 2, 3. And eventually, as they dot, their cupcake is going to be full of dots. Now, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now, we'll pretend I rolled a 6. So, again, you can have 3, 4 kids playing this. You can make it the cupcake bigger. You could also do it as a cake. I usually do a birthday theme sometimes at the beginning of the year, so you can do that. I know for All About Me, we are always talking about their birthdays and how old they are, so a cupcake is perfect for that. Now, if you don't want to do a cupcake, totally fine. You can do a shirt. Again, for Pete the cat, it's on my brain right now. You can do a shirt. You could draw a giant pencil and they can dot and decorate the pencil. Really, you can make it anything. They roll the dice and dot that many. Now, you could also have them use stickers. They roll the dice and put that many stickers on. But I had 18 kiddos in my class some years, and that would get really, really expensive to use stickers for activities every time. So I use dot markers a lot instead of stickers. If you have stickers and you're lucky enough that your admin gives them to you, then that's awesome. Then use those stickers. And then again, take this and take it and you can cut it out and they can put it in the hallway, and then you have a really fun bulletin board. And you can even take pictures of them doing the activity and put it around the cupcake, and you can put write up a little paragraph about how we are learning through play and counting, and this is what they need. So that's really fun. And then my second to last idea. So this is a paper, and I put a whole bunch of tape on it. I'm gonna go over some of my stuff. Now, you don't have to use tape. You can also just draw different lines that are different lengths. Because what we're gonna do is we are going to start practicing measuring. Now, it's non-standard measurement, so that's okay. If we don't have one-to-one correspondence to that many yet, if we don't have one-to-one correspondence yet that far, those students, here, let me do one that's shorter. Those students are just gonna be comparing the length. If they have one-to-one correspondence, they can count that many. But we're just really comparing lengths and seeing this is the same length. Oh, this one, the orange one looks bigger than the blue one. The blue one is shorter, the orange one is longer. Again, we just want them learning how to use all the tools in our classroom. So if they have never been to school before, they may never have played with connecting cubes. And we use connecting cubes all the time in our classrooms, right? So we want them to know how to use them. So when, again, it's time for small group or you're gonna do a lesson or something, they've already played with these, so it's not something that's brand new, that's not familiar. So that way, again, they've played with it and explored, and now they're ready to listen to you teach them all the things. It's hard to see that green one. So this one is the same, and they can put it on top. I like tape because it's the same as the cubes. And again, they can count, or if you were over there supporting them, then you can count, and they can even compare, stand them up and say, this one is shorter, this one is longer, how many longer, how much longer is it, how much shorter is it. So yeah, so again, pieces of tape and cubes, or you can just draw lines. I know a lot of us measure, we have all their students take their one shoe off and they measure their shoes at the beginning of the year. So this is a great activity to do the next day after you do that. Or even if you haven't done that, all you have to do is put out maybe like one sample, like one more, and you can put out one, and then you can have some cups, some tubs of these out around the edges, and they can just measure. Because once they see one, they'll kind of know, oh, this is what I'm supposed to do. Now, do you have to use cubes? Nope. You can use the bingo counters again, but I just like using all the different school tools that they're gonna use on all the manipulatives, again, just to get used to that. And then at the end, say, oh, where do these go in our classroom? Oh, these go in the Discovery Center. Everybody, let's walk to the Discovery Center and we're gonna put them away. And then say the center name, clap the center name, whisper the center name, stomp it, all the things. Again, we're just getting to know all of our school tools. We're getting to know what's in our centers, and we're just having fun learning. And again, these are a great way to start or end your day. You can also do these as an like dismissal activity if your kiddos get picked up kind of, they're maybe like mom and dad or grandma and grandpa, whatever, growing up sick, and maybe they have like a 15-20 minute window or something. These are great to put out for them for that too. Now, I know a lot of our little friends, since they've never been to school before, they may not have used glue sticks a lot, or scissors, or whatever it is we have in our art center. So another really fun thing to do is do kind of I call it like a growing collage, because each day they add something else to it. So maybe on the first day, and I usually literally grab things off my art shelf because I want them to use the things that are in our classroom already, right? Maybe on the first day, I'm just gonna put out all of the different kind of things on the top. So I have all of our people crayons, I have all of our markers, and maybe I'm just gonna put these out and they're just gonna color all over it. So we're just gonna pretend, right? They're just gonna color. A lot of them are gonna scribble, do all the things, right? So the first day, maybe I have out all of our like coloring things. And we're gonna practice putting the lids on and taking the lids off and making sure they're closed. And then maybe the next day, I have tape in my art center. So maybe the next day, I'm gonna have tape out, and we're gonna practice peeling it, peeling off shorter pieces and cutting it. So maybe we're gonna practice using tape and pushing it down, because you know how they do this? And they get the giant pieces, right? And we'll practice saying, oh, if it's so big, you know how it gets all crumpled, and they can help their friends not get it crumpled. So we can practice taking out shorter pieces of tape and using our scissors to cut our tape. That's day 2. And then again, look on your art shelf, that's day 2. Look on your art shelf, see what you want to do the next day. Okay, the next day, I think I have a tub of paper shapes. It's literally just like leftover shapes from different things. And I'm gonna put out some glue sticks. So then today, they are just going to practice putting glue on the back and then gluing it on. And then we're gonna put some glue on the back and glue it on. You can tell I cut these because are they perfect? No, but do they still love the cut up paper shapes? They do. Now, they're gonna and glue on top of what they did yesterday, and that's totally fine. I do have foam shapes in here too. And you can see each day it builds and builds and builds. So that's day 3. So the first day we practice opening and closing our markers. And then the next day we practice using tape. And the next day, day 3, we practice using glue sticks. And then maybe the next day, and they're also getting used to all the things on our art shelf. And then maybe the next day, I have a giant bucket of paper punches. So maybe I'm gonna put out, okay, I should have. So what I would do if I was prepared, clearly, I forgot to do this part. I usually just, when I teach them how to use the paper punches, I just have a whole bunch of strips out. And we practice putting it in and getting it out, or putting it in. And sometimes they get like a half sheet, that's okay. And a lot of these squeezy ones, I know you're gonna ask, these are Fisker's brand. I got them at Michael's. I had 18 kids in a class, and these I would say last the best. I do have these are from Lakeshore. Now also on my punches, as you can see, I take the plastic thing off the back, so that way the students can keep or take home the little treasures that they cut out, and then they can put these on, right? And glue those on, and they're practicing using all these punches. So these are from Lakeshore, these are Fisker's. You can put, I have just like regular hole punches out too. Now if you do the regular hole punches out, what you can do is again, be more prepared than I am. Put out like strips like this. Like these in there. So put out strips like this with the hole punches, and they can just do a whole bunch of hole punches. And then what they can do is you can have students glue this part down, like with the parts that they did all the holes on. So they just did that, right? And they just go crazy or make a hole. It looks like cheese. And then they can glue that on. So you can do either one. Again, use what's on your art shelf. Oh, and then, just FYI, buy those little punches. I got these little envelopes donated one year, so I have a little thing of envelopes for all the little treasures they have. Another day, I also, again, tissue paper. Again, we're just practicing using our glue sticks. We put our glue on, and then we're putting our tissue on. Now, imagine, so if I had 18 kiddos, I would make this literally the whole size of the table. If I had, or maybe you would make it on the floor in your art center and scoop the table over if you have room, or again, just do it on the table. And by the end of the week, it's going to be covered in all of this amazing art. It's going to be very open-ended art, and it makes a really gorgeous bulletin board, or you can hang it outside the classroom and again take pictures of the students doing this as like a collaborative art piece, and then you can just print them out and like kind of, you know, put them all different ways around it and write up a little blurb about the collaborative art that we did to learn how to use all of our different school tools. And it's just really fun. I actually had one and I kept it up all year, and it was like above our cubbies. And I think one day that we painted it too, or I can't remember. But yeah, so super fun. So those are all of my back to school butcher paper activity ideas for you. Now, if you want all of these ideas, this one's not in there. I forgot about this one, but I bound it in the book. If you want all of them, you can hop over to my store and you can grab this. And again, it's a printout and it has a whole bunch of different ideas. I just divided it. That's my divider. It's just a piece of colored cardstock. So, and it tells you all the things on where to get all the things that you can use, and you can grab things in your classroom and your school. So I hope this gave you a ton of ideas that you can do next week or next month in your classroom to get students working together, talking, learning about each other and their friends' names, and building that caring classroom community that you guys are so good at. And another thing I love about these is that they're pretty low prep, because again, you're just putting out a piece of paper, drawing on it for like real quick 5 minutes, and using the things off your shelf. So it's nothing extra that you have to do that takes a ton of time or a ton of prep. So I hope you guys love these. And again, don't forget, if you guys do or try some of these out in your classroom, make sure to hop over to the Pocket of Preschool Facebook group to share it, because we love cheering each other on. If you're not in the Facebook group, you need to join. It is the best group of 100,000 teachers I've ever met in my life, which, you know, all virtually met, right? Great group of teachers, especially if you need some pats on the back like we all do because you're having a rough year, or maybe you don't have the most supportive families or admin, or maybe you just want to cheer yourself on because you're doing amazing and you want to share your joy and your excitement with people who understand, and we are there for you. So, and again, if you share it on TikTok too, share it over there. I love to share things out too on my page that you guys do on Instagram. So tag me in all the things when you guys try it out, and I can't wait to see how it goes in your classroom. And I hope you guys have a great back to school week. If you're back this week, if you're already back, or if you are watching this and you've been back, I hope you guys have had a great back to school, or will have if you're not back yet. So I will talk to you soon, and I will see you next time.